Hey guys, and welcome to Anarky. So I just found out that the frontman of Audioslave died 2 days ago on Wednesday, the 17th of May 2017. Now they're saying that he died of a possible suicide by hanging, which I definitely do not believe. This guy was a very well-spirited, positive man with a wife that he loved and two children, and one of his daughters, which he even used to sing on stage with and was actually really good at singing. So I doubt that this guy suddenly decided after a concert to just end his life. Chris Cornell has been drug-free apparently for quite a few years, but there's an article here on The Sun that talks about how he was found, and he wasn't found hung or hanging or of a possible suicide. I found this video of his last show in Detroit where you can see that he clearly seems like he's got very low energy. His voice is a bit off. Now this guy has a really epic voice. He's always been a very wide-eyed, loud, cool guy with a lot of energy. First of all, he looks so disheveled, his hair, he can barely walk, his back is hunched over, he's very low hanging, very slow, his arms are really heavy weighted down. These are the classic signs of someone who is on heroin. Now, Chris Cornell, he's been clean for a really long time. You can see in this article he talks about the fact that he started drugs at the age of 13 years old. After he married his second wife, he decided to go to rehab and get clean. And here it says that 2 years after his second marriage, he said that he finally kicked the habit for good. He went to rehab and he realized that being off drugs was actually better than being on them, that it helped him a lot. He got away from the daily drudgery of depression and he tried not to drink or do drugs. So we know he's been clean for quite some time. Now, on this website, thesun.co.uk, it says that a spokesperson for Detroit police told the BBC that they received the call just after midnight. And pay attention here. He was found on the bathroom floor. Our medical unit were called and he was pronounced dead on the scene. A family friend went to go check on him and observed him on the bathroom floor. The body was transferred to the medical examiner's office and the cause of death will be determined. Now, when you watch this video of his last show, although the guy looked like he couldn't hold himself up and his hair was so disheveled and he looked really like emaciated and weak, he still seemed like so happy to be there and he was interacting with the crowd and he just looked like he was having a good time. But you have to take into consideration that someone who's been off drugs for a long time, if they take drugs again, it usually hits them so much harder than it would have if they had continued taking drugs and never stopped. He can barely walk. You can see that he can barely walk. And he's trying really, really hard. He's stuttering his words. He's interacting with fans. And the whole band is actually really, really calm and paying attention to him throughout the whole gig, making sure he's okay. There's a part at the beginning where he talks to the crowd. See, he's smiling at the crowd. He's having a good time. But you'll see he's gonna speak now and he's gonna stutter. And he keeps stuttering throughout the whole concert. This is not someone who would commit suicide.
It's great to be back here. Honestly, I love you guys that are up there on the top shelf, but you gotta fucking stand up and show me something.
Does this seem...
I have bragged about Detroit crowds for 30 years, so stand the fuck up and make some noise. I see all of you. Get the fuck up.
Does this look like a guy that wants to kill himself? To me, this looks like a guy that's having a great time and just did a bit too much drugs. Honest to God. This is not somebody who was planning to kill himself, who was depressed and who didn't want to live anymore. I mean, come on. In this article from NY Times, it says that the death was a suicide by hanging, the Wayne Court Medical's Examiner Office said in a statement released Thursday afternoon. It said a full autopsy has not yet been completed. But it also says here that he was active on social media in the hours before his death also, and that they found him on the bathroom floor with a band around his neck. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Honestly, a band around his neck, this seems like something sketchy, like they're trying to hide something. I mean, if the guy died of a drug overdose, just say it was a drug overdose. At least we know then that he went out having a good time and just doing a bit too much of what he loved to do. Telling the world that someone they loved so much, a musician that they held so dear in their hearts, died of a suicide is so depressing. It brings the morale of people down. It makes people sad. And I don't think this is right. I feel like a lot of people and the media and the families of these famous people try to cover up the fact that these people and these musicians died of drug overdoses like it's the most embarrassing thing that can happen to them. It's not. It's just a mistake that happened. It's not something that was intended. It's not something anyone intends to do when they take heroin. Heroin is taken to make you feel good, not to make you want to kill yourself. I think what happened is that this guy was clean for many, many years. He went to Detroit to have an awesome concert. You heard what he said, you know, that he brags to everybody that Detroit is the heaviest town with people who know how to party the most. We all know that Detroit is like an epic place to go party. The music is amazing. The music scene, it's known all over the world. Even where I come from, everybody knows Detroit. If you're into the music scene, the underground music scene, and any kind of music scene. Now, I did a little bit of research about the most heavily used drug in Detroit, and it says here that the most abused drug in Detroit is heroin. So I would assume that since that is the fact, that most probably him wanting to have an epic concert and an epic night might have decided to just do a little and have some fun. He didn't realize that his body was not used to this kind of stuff anymore, and he might have overdone it and unfortunately passed away due to overdose. I really do not believe that he would intentionally commit suicide. Now, this band that they found around his neck, people don't usually use bands to strangle themselves or commit suicide. They'll use a tie, they'll use a rope, they'll use a sheet, they'll use a cord. They won't use a band. A band is used around the arm when injecting heroin. A lot of times what people do is they wrap the band around their neck if they're doing it themselves. So this is the band that heroin users use when they're trying to inject themselves. It's like a long tube. The thing about these bands is that, as you can see, they're really, really long. It's 10 meters, this one. Now the other one looks a bit shorter, maybe 1 or 2 meters, but that's still quite long. So my theory is that he was probably alone in his hotel room, or he wasn't alone, he was just, in another room, or he went to the bathroom to shoot up or something like that. And maybe he didn't want his bandmates to know because he's been sober for so long, and it went horribly wrong. Now, basically, if he was trying to do this himself, maybe while he was injecting the drugs, he passed out or something like that, which led to him pulling his arm down or something like that, where he actually could have strangled himself by accident. But you have to understand, if somebody's on heroin, their breathing gets really slow. They can't even hold themselves up. So even the slightest bit of asphyxiation around the neck would be enough for him to pass out and not wake up. This is just my opinion from how I see him behaving on stage. I don't see him being depressed, but I see his body movements, the slurred speech, the stuttering. From all this, the first thing I assumed was heroin. This is one of his most favorite songs, Black Hole Sun. You can see that he's really trying hard to sing the song. He's not giving up, even though his body can't handle the feelings that the drugs are giving him. You can see his eyes. He's looking around and he's like looking almost at things that don't exist, and then realizing like, oh, I'm on stage, I need to sing. I really don't see somebody who's depressed. I just see somebody who's done too much drugs. Now, there's a huge conspiracy going around that Chris Cornell was a sacrifice, that this was all planned, that they killed him and they made it seem like a hanging, and that he was a ritual sacrifice by the elites to whatever god they worship or to whatever plan they're trying to achieve. I really do not believe this. I think it's just really a coincidence. The reason people believe this is that the last song that they played at his last concert ever, which was 2 days ago on the 17th of May 2017, was Led Zeppelin's In My Dying Time. And one of the opening lines is, "All I want for you to do is take my body home." Now, coincidences do happen. Life is all about coincidences. It just so happened that this guy unfortunately passed away that night. It's really sad to hear, but I really, really do not believe that this was a ritual sacrifice of any kind. I don't think that he was intentionally killed. I think it was a huge accident, and I think it's a really, really sad thing. And I think the best thing to do is to honor him and to remember the great things he did, and not believe that it was a suicide, because believing that it was a suicide takes away everything beautiful that he ever did and said in his life, and takes away from the beautiful person that he was.
What do you want to reach with this noise? Do you want to spread aggression?
No, not really. Just want to make some sounds that maybe people might not hear the rest of the day.
What is so attractive to making this sound?
It's fun. It's like a little kid with a really big toy.
Okay, it's fun, but it's so loud.
Why, are you saying you don't like it?
Yeah, well, I like it.
No, come on. Don't. He's lying to people. He's lying.
Well, no. I like some parts of it, but it's so loud all over. It's constantly loud.
I know. Can you believe it?
I freaking love this guy. I love this guy so much, and I'm trying really hard not to get sad right now. If they had just told us that he died of a drug overdose, I wouldn't be as sad as I am right now. But the fact that people are saying that he killed himself is something I just don't want to believe, because it's really depressing, and I don't like remembering people that I love in such a negative way. I think it's really wrong, and I think his friends and family should just come out and tell us the truth. Because by people lying all the time about how these famous people and these singers who brought light into our lives in times when we were depressed and had really difficult times in our lives, and their music helped us to feel better, they're taking this away from us by telling us that they committed suicide when it's not true. I'm not gonna believe that it's true, and I know in my heart that it's not true. And I'm gonna honor him by not believing that he killed himself. I'm gonna honor him by believing that this guy really knew how to fucking rock out. He was a freaking awesome dude. He loved his family. He loved his kids. And he just partied a little bit too hard and unfortunately left this world and left us. And we just won't be hearing any new music from him. But his old music will live on. We can listen to it and remember him as long as we want. And as long as we need to, and whenever we need to. And I urge you all to do the same, to tribute him by not believing these lies. I really do believe that they're lies.
Now make some noise down here and congratulate them. All right, thank you.
This is how I want to remember him, smiling at his last concert, interacting with the crowd, telling them how much he loves them, telling everybody in Detroit how amazing they are, how happy he is to be there. This is Chris Cornell, right here, smiling. I want to congratulate him on being an awesome person and an awesome musician, and honor him for those things. And I hope all you guys can do the same and not feed into all this negativity that you hear and see, because negativity spreads negativity, and we don't want to live in a world of sadness. Just, love and positivity and admiring and loving and remembering the people that make such awesome music and such great artists, to remember them in the great light and in the happiness that they are and the happiness they bring to us. So I'm gonna end this video with a song I found of Chris Cornell mashing up two of my favorite songs, one by U2 and one by Metallica. It's a really awesome combination. And although it might seem depressing because of the lyrics, and it might seem really fitting, you would say, for what happened, I don't want to view it as that. I just want to view it as an epic compilation of two songs no one else would ever put together, and making those two songs a new, amazing song that we can listen to and remember and adore and respect and inspire to be like. So that's it from me, I guess, and enjoy the song.
Sometimes I try songs and they don't sound so good. So I googled the lyrics because I didn't know them, and I just put in one lyrics enter, hit the first thing that came up, and there it was, bam! Lyrics to one. But it wasn't the U2 lyrics, because apparently the most Googled lyrics for a song called One is a band named Metallica. So, and then the third one is Harry Nilsson, which is 3 Dog Night. One is the loneliest home that you ever do. Two can, you know it. Anyway, so when the Metallica lyrics came up, I thought, well, fuck, let's see what that sounds like. And so I figured it out. This is what it sounds like. Can't remember everything. Is this true or just a dream? Down inside I feel to scream. The terrible silence is stopping me. Now that the war is through with me, waking up, but I can't see that there ain't much left of me. Nothing is real, but the pain now, deep down inside, it's much too real. In Pump's life that I must feel, I can't look forward to leave now. Look to a time when I can live, fed to machines that stuck in me, just like a wartime novelty, tied to machines that make me bleed. Cut this life off, yeah, cut this life off from me. Let my legs take my side, took away my speed, took away my hearing, left me with a life in hell. Darkness surrounds me, yeah. All I hear, all I see. Cannot live and I cannot die. Trapped in myself, yeah, trapped in myself. Their mind has taken my sight, taken my hearing, taken my eyes. Their mind has left me with life in hell. My body, my whole inside, I cannot die. Now the world is gone, just one. Hold my breath as I'm wishing for death. Just one, please. God, wake me. God, help me. God, take me. Hold my breath as I wish for death.
subscribe.